Now available in paperback and Kindle, Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Learn how to avoid predatory females like Instagram models and e-girls in their virtual con games with Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Get your copy of Stop Simping in Cyberspace in paperback and Kindle today. A Louisiana anchor resigned from his job after he was allegedly caught sending text messages to a 15-year-old girl.
Tonight we're sharing an explosive report claiming a local news anchor who also served as the organization's news director is the subject of an ongoing investigation by Shreveport Police. Good evening, I'm Dan Jovic.
And I'm Jackie Jovic. The investigation was sparked due to the efforts of 3 local men who say they've made it their mission to catch men trying to have sex with underage girls.
They showed us the evidence they have provided to police and share a first-hand account of what they say unfolded that day. It's our top story tonight.
We catch like child predators.
Antonio Coleman, Cameron Kennan, and Katario Grigsby are self-described predator hunters. For a little over 3 weeks, they've been pretending to be an underage girl online in an effort to catfish local men who are allegedly trying to meet up for sex.
It's just crazy, like how fast they are willing to meet young females. It's just crazy.
The trio says they were surprised by their efforts last Wednesday, May 29th. That day, Shreveport Police received a call at 11:04 a.m. The call came from former KTBS news anchor Bill Lunt. According to police and a call for service report obtained by NBC6, Lunt claimed he was the victim of an assault and battery. But a case report on the alleged incident paints a different story. According to the case report, the alleged offense is not for assault and battery, rather for computer-aided solicitation for sexual purposes. These 3 men are the reason why.
And so he seen us, he darted out.
They created a fake Meet Me profile. That profile is of an underage girl. They say they then wait for men to like the profile and spark a conversation. They say Lunt initiated a conversation Tuesday night.
They had a little conversation going on, and he asked how old she was. The girl told us she was 15 years old.
Antonio says he was actually the girl. He says he and Lunt exchanged dozens upon dozens of text messages over the next several hours, where the conversation quickly turned to sex.
He was like sending like pictures to her. He was saying he wanted to do this to her, like explicit things I can't see on camera.
Antonio checked the phone number he was texting with. It was the same number Lunt lists on his LinkedIn profile.
I'm like, oh my God. So I looked to the Facebook, I'm like, this is really his number. It's a real Bill Lunt. And so it was just really just crazy.
We were shown images in the text message chain displaying sexually explicit photos that Lunt allegedly sent of himself. Antonio says Lunt set up a meeting date last Wednesday.
Came on his lunch break from work to come meet her.
According to Antonio, when Lunt arrived at their designated meeting spot, the trio jumped out, informing him of what was happening.
You can see like the guilt in his eyes. Like, he knew like, oh, I'm done.
They say Lunt ran and later called police, saying he was the victim of an assault and battery. The 3 men waited for police to arrive. They say hours of questioning followed. The call for service report shows police spent 4 hours and 21 minutes at the scene. The young men say Lunt was handcuffed in the back of a police vehicle for hours. All parties were released from the scene with no charges filed. Shreveport Police told me there is an active investigation into Lunt based on the events of that day. I tried reaching out to Lunt to get his side of the story.
Please leave your name and number, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks. Have a great day.
Bill, this is Dan Jovic calling from NBC6 News, trying to get your side of the story related to an incident that took place last week. My call went unanswered and was not returned.
The thing is, as Bill was running off, he yells, "I have a wife and kids." I'm sitting there, as he's running off, I'm thinking in my head, how can you say that when you literally just walked yourself in the house, expecting to meet an underage teenager, which he was going to do regardless.
Lunt resigned Monday from both of his roles at KTBS. And Lunt's profile was immediately scrubbed from the station's website. Calls to KTBS management regarding the incident have gone unanswered. Antonio, Cameron, and Carturio said they have allegedly caught 10 men in the span of just 3 weeks through their vigilante efforts.
Now, in this series of allegedly disturbing incidents that took place online, Bill Lunt, who was the 59-year-old news director and on-air face as an anchorman of KTBS TV News in Shreveport, Louisiana, was participating in an online relationship with who he believed to be a 15-year-old girl. Now, as Bill Lunt was online talking to this perceived to be 15-year-old girl, allegedly, he was sending sexually explicit messages to this 15-year-old girl, and also was sending indecent pictures of himself to this minor. Now, as Bill Lunt was continuing to pursue this relationship with this perceived to be 15-year-old girl, he then looked to escalate his relationship from online text messaging to having a personal meeting with the 15-year-old girl in real life. And as Bill Lunt went to go allegedly meet with this 15-year-old girl online, he did not run into a 15-year-old girl. No, what he ran into was a trio of black male vigilantes, Antonio Coleman, Cameron Kennan, and Contorio Grigsby, who waited for Bill Lunt. And as they waited for Bill Lunt and had a confrontation with him as related to his just sexually deviant behavior, this is where Bill Lunt wanted to try to avoid having his reputation ruined, and went to contact the police by saying that he had been assaulted by Antonio Coleman, Cameron Kennan, and Contorio Grigsby. However, when police arrived, the trio of individuals presented evidence of Bill Lunt's alleged behavior as he was participating in this inappropriate relationship with this minor, showing clear evidence of him sending text messages to this perceived to be 15-year-old girl, and also showing a paper trail of evidence showing him having this relationship with this perceived to be minor online, showing hard evidence of his relationship with pictures of his relationship that he sent to this girl through text messages, and also sent information as related to his social media that confirmed that this was him. Now, in the aftermath of these revelations to police as related to this hard evidence of Bill Lunt participating in possible sex crimes as related to violating not only state but federal law, Bill Lunt basically wound up not getting arrested, but wound up being forced to resign from his job as a key on-air face at KTBS, and an investigation is being done by the Shreveport police as related to his possible alleged criminal behavior. Now, the police in Shreveport see this as an isolated incident, but when I take a critical examination of the disturbing behavior that married Bill Lunt was participating in, it definitely fits the pattern and profile for beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And it's clear to me that Bill Lunt was one of these textbook beta males who was out here living a double life, where he was living in one world where he was the professional reporter who was a married man, but in his secret life, in the secret world, he was participating in possible sexual deviancy by going online and looking to solicit underage girls for sexual encounters. Now, I go in detail on how beta males participate in this disturbing behavior in The Man Crisis in the chapters The Sexual Frustration of the Beta Male and The Sexual Deviancy of the Beta Male. Now, when it comes to the beta male is someone who is not really secure in his natural masculinity and his natural sexuality, and because he is not emotionally secure in his masculinity or his sexuality, the only place he feels secure about expressing his manhood in a natural fashion and his sexuality in a natural fashion is by going to a place I call the secret world. Now, in the secret world, this is where the beta male believes that he can have power as a man. And in the secret world, this is the place where he feels like he can have complete control over his masculinity and his sexuality. And in that world, because it's completely rose-colored, everything is completely distorted. And in that whole distorted world, instead of this man wanting to have healthy sexual relationships, what he wants to do is have relationships where he can have power and control. And in that world, he doesn't see people as people. No, what he sees people are as sexual objects to sate his fantasies. So he doesn't want to have relationships out in the open with a woman in a healthy sexual relationship. No, what he wants to do is enter into the secret world because he gets pleasure from having power over women, and he wants to have power over women because he doesn't feel adequate about himself as a man. Now, when it comes to these males, again, they live in two worlds, and in order to keep their personal life smooth, what they will do in the real world is have this world that's a facade where they will be this successful professional individual. And as they are this successful professional individual, they will have a wife, they will be presented as respectable, and in that world, everything will look really nice because it will be a world where they feel comfortable about having no problems, conflicts, or obstacles. But once they enter the place where they really want to go is the secret world, and they want to go to the secret world because the secret world is a place where they feel they can have the power they want to have as a man. And in that world, they believe they can participate in their sexually deviant indulgences without ever having to deal with a person objecting to them like their wives would. Now, when it comes to their wives, the wives hear these guys talking about their deviant behavior, and they will push back on them. But what these guys want to go to is the secret world where they can have all the power and basically abuse a woman's body and have abuse over that woman's body. And that's what they believe they are entitled to do. And then what they want to do in that world, again, is find people who they can objectify. And that's basically what this Bill Lunt was possibly doing online. What he was doing online was going out and looking for a child to abuse. And I use the word abuse because this wasn't about this man looking for pleasure. No, this man was looking to abuse a girl and basically get his pleasure from seeing this girl being abused and broken down. That's the only reason why this individual was soliciting this child online like this. And I go in depth on how disturbing the behavior of this kind of individual is in my book, Stop Simping in Cyberspace, because the cyber simp, what they do is go online and they create an online persona to be able to participate in their deviant behavior in the secret world. And that's possibly what Bill Lunt was possibly doing. But the thing that he was doing that was really troubling was he made a whole connection to people online, connecting them to his social media in real life, showing me how he was breaking the boundaries as related to his behavior, and his behavior was escalating as related to being more and more deviant. So I have to wonder how long he had been participating in this kind of behavior online. That's a critical question I've got to ask because, again, these kind of guys, they usually are online for years. They create these secret personas to be able to have that double life and have that double life where their personal life is smooth and their whole life in the real life world is smooth, but in the secret world, they're out here exploring sexual deviancy and participating in sexual violence. And we have to call it sexual violence because, again, a minor cannot consent. And this man, as related to what was presented, as related to these individuals who were online, these vigilantes, it was showing that there was a clear serious issue with this guy if he allegedly was participating in this series of text messages to a 15-year-old girl. There's clearly something wrong with this dude if he's out here sending text messages to this girl and then looking to escalate his behavior. And as he was out here escalating his behavior to further explore sexual deviancy, this is where he ran into these three black men. And as he ran into these three black men, this is where he wanted to try to flip the script and showed how racist he was. I mean, he tried to show how racist he was because only a racist would sit there and say, oh, these men are assaulting me, when he was actually out here participating in a sex crime. And I say this is a possible sex crime because, again, here you have a 59 going on 60-year-old married man going over to the home of a perceived minor and going over to the home of a perceived minor for a sexual encounter. So here we have a white male participating in a possible sex crime, and the first thing he wants to do is try to demonize the black men who want to bring him to justice and try to say that they assaulted him, trying to create the narrative that these black males are black brutes. But I thank God that the police did do an investigation over that 4 hours, taking a look at all of that evidence, showing us how possibly sexually deviant this individual is, and going and doing their investigation and finding that these black men did no wrong as they were looking to mete out justice. Now, the mainstream media wants to say that these black men were vigilantes, but I don't see them as vigilantes. No, I see them in the same way I saw the reporter at NBC who would go out here and do the Catch a Predator series. I mean, that guy basically was a hero. The guy who did the Catch a Predator series. I mean, that Chris Hansen series basically saved the lives of a lot of children and revealed all the sexual deviants that are hiding all across this country. Now, sadly, the Chris Hansen's whole series was stopped because they started finding out that there were people in high places, like a judge, I believe, who got caught out here participating and soliciting for a minor, and all of a sudden NBC wanted to stop making those To Catch a Predator shows, and all because we were starting to see a lot of high-level people starting to be exposed as sexual deviants. But we see that more people are out here, like these three black men, and I call them black men because this is what men of character do. Men of character go out here looking to protect people from deviant individuals like this, and this guy could have possibly been going on for an extremely long time. I mean, he basically could have been able to go on for an extremely long time had it not been for these brothers going out here and meting out the justice that needed to be meted out. And even though the Shreveport police did not charge this man with a crime, they were able to go out here and get the start of the ball rolling for justice, because I see where the police are basically looking to try to find a way to get this guy out of this mess, because he was the news director at KTBS, and he was, again, the guy who was the lead anchor, the face of that network. But the whole thing is, if the longer they drag their feet in looking to try to protect this guy, it really just shows how our justice system isn't about meting out justice on individuals like this and looking to protect an individual like this, and it's just extremely egregious. And it's extremely egregious because this individual, again, is as related to these alleged actions, which are shown in a possible paper trail online, because when it comes to the internet never goes away. And if these text messages and other evidence can be substantiated, it basically does is basically show us that this man's career is basically over in Shreveport as related to being a reporter and also over as related to him, as related to his professional reputation, because there is really no escaping text messages that you send on your cell phone, because your cell phone is a personal device. And if there are pictures of this man, it basically shows how this man really did this. And again, hard evidence, he can't escape. But we have the people at the police department looking to try to protect this man, as I see it, because they say they're doing an investigation. But if there's hard evidence of this, this man needs to be charged of a crime, and needs to be charged with a crime, because this whole series of behaviors basically shows that this man was looking to prey on a child, and destroy that child's life, all because he wants to have power and control, over somebody, to break them down, because he feels powerless and inadequate about himself. And that's where he's sick and depraved. And again, this individual really, again, if they can find this guy, and get the charges on him, he really does need to be arrested if he did this. And he needs to be arrested and charged not only as related to state charges, as related to soliciting a minor, he also needs to be charged with federal crimes, because this is a federal crime when you go out here and solicit minors online. And this man needs to be, if these reports are true, be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and locked away with Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, Big Dave, Melvin, and Mr. Sprinkles, and traded for commissary, bought for them, such as Little Debbie snack cakes, ramen noodles, packets of Crystal Light lemonade, packets of Crystal Light tea, off-brand grape drink, off-brand orange drink, off-brand fruit punch, off-brand lemon lime drink, off-brand apple juice, off-brand vanilla cookies, off-brand Oreo cookies, off-brand duplex cookies, off-brand ginger snaps, off-brand sugar wafers, off-brand vanilla wafers, packets of soy sauce, packets of sriracha sauce, snack pack puddings, packets of beef, packets of chicken, packets of tuna fish, packets of dried onions, Snyder's pretzels, Taster's Choice coffee, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pies. And after he is traded and spit roasted by Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, Big Dave, Melvin, and Mr. Sprinkles will be coming in to spray him with special sauce on the front side and the back side, and split his cheeks open and let everybody on Cell Block D see his backside looking like the inside of a glazed donut. And he would deserve this if he was the one soliciting a minor, because he's a complete piece of garbage, and a complete piece of garbage, because if you're out here soliciting minors, it just shows how sick and depraved he is. And again, this is the kind of behavior that beta males participate in the secret world, and they participate in this behavior. Again, this is not about sexual pleasure for these individuals. It's about power for them, and it's about power for them where they break down a child, take away a child's innocence, take away a child's dignity, take away a child's self-respect and sense of self-worth, and their agency and ability to have power over themselves. That's what these individuals do with their deviant sexual behavior, and that's what makes them complete pieces of garbage. And again, some of the sickest individuals as related to the man crisis going on here in America and the West, because with a lot of these males, the foundation for this dysfunction is due to the way that they have been raised to have this sexual shame, and because they are ashamed to express themselves sexually and not secure in their masculinity and manhood, they go out here looking to find their security by destroying somebody's life. And that's one of the core principal issues of the man crisis. Again, the way these males are raised as related to their sexual shame, and that sexual shame leads to them ironically creating a situation where young girls are made to be ashamed of themselves as related to their bodies, due to the sexual abuse these men participate in. And again, I say sexual abuse because this is abuse of a child. It's the worst kind of abuse. And again, the worst kind of abuse that you could do to a child. And that's what this 59-year-old married man was looking to do this in the secret world. And what's really more disturbing is that we're seeing an increase in frequency of these kind of cases. That's the most troubling thing, because I recently just did another video a week ago about the son of the founder of Buc-ee's and how he was participating in another form of sexual deviancy known as voyeurism. And what I'm seeing is an escalation of this kind of behavior and an increase in frequency of this behavior due to the sexual miseducation many young men and boys get because they're not taught to express naturally healthy sexuality, and because they're not taught this, what they are learning is a sexual miseducation, which leads to them exploring sexual deviancy, and this sexual deviancy is further being turned into sexual violence. And as these men go online, they hope to use the anonymity of the internet to be able to participate in these sex crimes. And I say sex crimes because this is criminal behavior to solicit a minor online. And again, with all of these prostitutes and escorts, again, this is not about sexual pleasure. It's all about power and control. It's all about power and control and breaking down someone so that they can get pleasure from seeing a child destroyed. And that is what's so sick about these individuals and why they need to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And what's really, again, sick and disturbing is these guys want to have their smooth world where on the outside they can say they're the good guy, but in actuality, they're not the good guy at all. No, they're sick and depraved men who are men in crisis. Now, if you want to learn why these males are motivated to participate in this type of sex crime, you can pick up my book, Stop Simping in Cyberspace, where I go in depth on how cyber simps wind up becoming these kinds of predators. And if you want to learn why males like this are out here and believe that this is this dysfunctional form of expressing sexuality is something that they believe is right, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com and learn all about how these dysfunctional males have developed this extremely dysfunctional mindset as related to sex and sexuality. Now, this was a video requested by a viewer, and if you want to request a video, you can send a donation of a minimum of $15 to the Cash App or the PayPal by clicking the links in the description box. And if I know something about that subject, I will make that video for you. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today.
Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.